And we're back here once again with another episode of the MSK Show. And this is going to be episode 507. So I hope you guys have a great day. And I hope you guys have a great weekend that is ahead of you. And in this episode of the MSK Show, we actually have two things to cover for this episode of the MSK Show. Obviously, in the title, we are going to be doing a comic book review on Absolute Superman issue 6, which concludes the first arc for Absolute Superman, which is called The Last Dust of Krypton. And then we are also going to be talking about Masters of the Universe box office, because the Masters of the Universe live action movie that was released from Amazon, who now owns MGM, kind of flopped at the box office pretty hard. Now, I told you guys before, I knew that was going to happen, and I didn't say that was going to happen because I literally actually like He-Man. I grew up with the cartoon that was on Cartoon Network, and I loved watching it every single week. Obviously, it was really, really good. And come to find out, when I got older, a lot of other people thought that was actually really good too. So that was a nice little thing, because you know how like randomly when you watch stuff, people are like, "Oh my god, that fucking sucked." You're like, "My whole life just crumbled." But no, come to find out, a lot of people actually like that He-Man reboot or sequel or whatever it's kind of considered to a lot of people in that time frame. But people don't understand, this is a franchise that is like really just not been in front of a lot of people in like a very long time. I mean, a lot of people have to kind of understand this when it comes to a lot of this stuff. It's like, if you're a nerd, like you're a loser who doesn't shower, don't brush his teeth, don't have a job, obviously this stuff is kind of like more known to you and people around you. But not every nerd thing is big. I think people kind of treat like Marvel and DC as if like every other property is like that. And it's like, no, like, well, Transformers has a pretty sizable audience, right? But does Transformers have but does Masters of the Universe have the same sizable audience as Transformers? Probably not. And that is also largely due to the fact that Transformers, if we're just comparing the two, has had more media out there. Like Transformers has many animated TV series. Now it's going to eventually have 2 more movies coming out for it. Just had a recent movie not too long ago. And it was last year Transformers 1 came out, or 2024 Transformers 1 came out. So it also goes to the same thing with G.I. Joe as well. Like G.I. Joe, I'm not saying it's on the same level as Masters of the Universe, but like you start looking at some of these properties that you know from how people talk about them, but they haven't been like anything relevant for them in a very, very long time. Like G.I. Joe, like literally outside of the Image Comics and Skybound series currently right now, outside of that, we had Snake Eyes in 2021. That, well, yeah, it certainly was a movie. I mean, it was truly a movie. I mean, it had stuff. It had elements to make a movie. I don't know if it really was a good movie. It was a terrible movie. it had actors. It had director. It had some producers. Had some writers. Right. But before that, I mean, I'll just say this right now: those G.I. Joe movies, those live action ones, if they came out now, they would get eviscerated. Like really bad. Keep in mind, these were already horse shit from back then standards, which was already pretty high. If those G.I. Joe movies came out, guys, this is a G.I. Joe movie, the second one. Literally, they kill off everyone except for like few people. Do you think that would go well with people these days? Not even close. It's literally a second movie where they quite literally, the point of G.I. Joe, a big conception behind it is you have all these people, this big, actual diverse group of people with different skill sets and abilities and all that stuff. Just imagine this. Do you guys think they made a movie where they killed all of them off? They did. It was the second one with The Rock, actually. Killed them all off. Just because reasons, right? Because why? I mean, look, keep in mind, people think, MSK, did that come out recently? No, that shit came out in 2013. That wasn't that long ago, actually. It was actually came out the same year that Man of Steel came out. So just want to point out some of these obscure properties that haven't really been in front of people in a very long time. You know, it's going to be really hard to make them pretty marketable. You know what I mean? Like, it's going to make them insanely hard to market them because there's just not much there. Like, you'd have to put out like several things for them to really be culturally relevant again. It's just, and if you go back to Ryan, the way we consume movies and all that stuff now is so much different now. Like, how do you get that in front of an audience that gets it big? Like TMNT is the same way too. Like, how many times have they rebooted TMNT? You know, like not even comic book wise. Like, you have that new animated movie series that's happening with Seth Rogen. I think he's doing them. And then before that, you got those. I know Michael Bay's not the director of them, but I'm pretty sure that's slightly he kind of was, because given his influence of how those things look. Like, you had those movies, those failed, right? You have like some of the animated stuff that did pretty well, but that, like the animated movie that came out in 2008, that was like the last big thing for them. And the one series that I grew up watching was really, really big. Then they had that crossover with like the original. That pretty much was it. So yeah, a lot of these properties, unless they have like this big built-in audience that's going to go and support these movies, there's not much you can really do there, honestly. I mean, I like He-Man a lot, but like, fuck, the last thing people remember about He-Man was maybe Kevin Smith's Netflix animated series, which, you know, it's pretty divisive in and of itself. So, but Dingus is here. Have you been having a lot of sex with Dingus, actually?
Yeah, you know, gotta keep it going, you know, keep up the grind, as they say.
Is your dick falling off since you've been having so much sex with women?
See, unlike yours, mine's quite strong.
Oh, really? Oh, shit. And now you just take a shot to me. Oh, shit. God. But no, before we get to the review, and then we can get to the other topic, you actually watched Master of the Universe, and you enjoyed it, didn't you?
I did enjoy it.
Okay.
And God forbid that I say I liked it on Twitter.
Good Lord.
I saw so many people say that they enjoyed it, and then nobody say anything. And then I say I enjoyed it, and then all these people come out of the woodworks, and so I just muted the post after the first few comments. And it was just it was the one you quoted.
Really? Oh shit!
Yeah,
really?
I've had all these people come in, and I'm like, okay.
Yeah, like I was on break at work because that day I was gonna go see it, and then I got called in. I was like, fuck, I might as well go in and make money as a black man. As you guys know, black people and working don't really go hand in hand these days. But I remember I commented on it, and I was like, I'm pretty sure. I thought it was just gonna get, like how some of these tweets go. Sometimes you only get like
my tweets almost never get traction. I expect that,
Yeah,
everyone never likes it. Well, I mean, Twitter especially doesn't like.
Oh my god!
You don't have a blue check mark.
When I left this, it only had like a few comments, and then it turns out like fucking you kicked a hornet's nest, which is crazy.
I know.
But what's really interesting when it comes to stuff like this is people will always say these kind of narratives. They go, "Well, nobody cares about this, guys." You commenting kind of proves you do. When I don't care about something, I don't interact with things.
Yeah.
Like if someone were to talk about Star Trek, or if anyone talks about Star Trek, I don't give two flying fucks about Star Trek. I will never interact with anything Star Trek in my entire life because
I don't give. It's not for everybody.
I don't give two flying fucks if it exists. It could burn to the ground right now. I really wouldn't lose any sleep over it. Now, obviously, if you talk about something that I really care about, or something that I've had a part of my life like this, of course I'm going to comment about it. It's so weird when people say they don't care about something, but they'll rush to always just give their opinion on it. I'm like, that's kind of like, do people not see the irony in these things? I never know.
I think, we can get into it when we actually talk about it, but I think Masters of the Universe is kind of, as a franchise, there's some franchises people just love to hate on no matter what. Like DC is a prime example right now. You can't have anything DC come out and people not shit on it for no reason. And I think Masters of the Universe is in the same boat now. Oh,
don't worry. That would definitely be me. I love shitting on things. It's my pastime. Sad because so basically the Hollywood Handle put out this tweet and it was talking about how much this movie made domestically at the box office worldwide. So as you guys know, what we make in our country can always be lower or higher depending for a movie.
Yeah.
It actually can sometimes carry a movie. It just depends. Like people understand every movie's different though. Like when people say, "Oh, international carries a lot," that's not true. You have to actually look at the numbers to see. It's literally a case by case basis thing. But
yeah,
I haven't checked the latest numbers for this. I don't know if I don't know if internationally this movie is getting carried international or domestic. I'm pretty sure domestically it's higher. I'm pretty sure.
Globally, that number was 50 something, so it was higher domestic.
Yeah. And you said sad because the movie was awesome. What's going on with good movies just not getting butts and seats? The whole industry is really struggling. Well, to be fair, I agree. Like
there's a lot of Yeah, we've only had a couple movies this year really do good. Other than that, it's like we've had a lot of notable movies come out, and not even good audience scores been carrying them. And yeah, you're just seeing everything struggle right now. But
Yeah, and that's another thing too, is I've always told people this, like a few movies doing good since like I would say 2021, that's when the movie theaters kind of came back.
oh, that I haven't seen that comment up top there. That's really funny because I'm not Gen X. That's hilarious.
Oh, right.
That's a good laugh.
I love how people just make assumptions about shit all these wild things people will say, because people will say the same thing on me. Someone said, "You don't read comic books," as we literally have episodes with the comic book reviews title in the damn show. And I get it. I don't read a lot of comic books because, God forbid, guys, I'm not a sniveling, snot-nosed nerd who doesn't shower and doesn't have a job. Sorry, I can only kind of do this whenever I have my free time. Come on, I'm dedicating my literal free time to doing this. So, yeah, if I didn't read comic books, do you think I would have them in my titles to review them? Obviously not. And the reason why we didn't review this last week is because, I closed out my job, and when I'm reading a comic book and my eyes are sore and I'm really tired, I don't want to do a review when I'm super tired, because I'm not going to give you guys a really good review, obviously. So if we miss a week or two, it's not because I don't want to do it. It's because, well, I'm fucking old, actually. But a lot of people will point out certain things like, well, How to Fuck Your Dragon and Superman and Jurassic World Rebirth X Electric Boogaloo sequel thing did well. It's like, guys, 5 or 6 movies really carrying the box office that's not sustainable, though. Like, if you guys don't know, the newest Super Mario movie, I think Super Mario Galaxy, something like that, came out. That was the first $1 billion movie this year. And we are now literally in almost in the middle of June. We are almost in the middle of June, and that's our first $1 billion movie. And keep in mind, Spider-Man and Avengers Doomsday are coming out. I think those will also be the other $1 billion movies. We're going to walk away with $3 billion movies, in my opinion, by the end of this year, depending on what else comes out.
Yeah.
I don't think Nolan's newest movie is going to do that. I don't think a lot of the other movies coming out will do that.
Else. People, I think a lot of movies get these unfair perceptions, right? Like, people just latch on and hate them, and I don't think hate campaigns against movies are the thing to bring them down, but it's always a factor that's going to go against it that will hurt, I would argue, a fair portion of the audience's perception towards going to see it.
Yeah.
Like, always. Like, I always believe in you should watch something and judge it for yourself. I'll go see movies with terrible reviews, even if I'm looking forward to it. But there's a lot of people out there that go and, like, they read the reviews, and if it's not a good review, they don't care. Like my I have family that's that way, and so
I know, because I've always did the same thing too. Like, or people, it's crazy because people will call a lot of people sheep, but then do the same thing as sheep would do. Like, okay, let's say people like watching. Guys, I met this person, so obviously I'm just using him as an example. Let's say people like Nerdrotic, right? And Nerdrotic says a movie is good or bad. Now, just because he says a movie's good or bad doesn't mean that automatically, like, you should think a movie's good or bad. You should ultimately watch it and judge it for yourself, because there's been movies people have said that was bad, good, or kind of meh, or whatever adjective they want to use. I watch it, and sometimes I feel the same way. Sometimes I don't feel the same way. Sometimes we kind of meet in the middle. But at least when I watch it for myself, I can see why I personally didn't like certain decisions, or I liked certain decisions, right? Because a lot of people don't get that, though. And some people say, well, do I have to taste shit to know it's shit? No, you don't. That's not and keep in mind, that's not what's being said. People are, like, slightly confusing what is being said. So I'll just point out for 3 ways, guys. If you watch a trailer and it does not convince you to watch the movie, that is 100% justifiable, because that's supposed to be what it's for. So if you said the trailer does not convince you, that's fine. That's not what I'm arguing to most of you guys on Twitter. What I'm arguing is the other thing, where if you say you don't watch something because someone else said it was good or bad, that would make you literally no worse than a Democrat, like NPC, like the people that you call NPCs. Literally, when I watch, and keep in mind, I'll take time to watch something. And when I do get around to watching it, I'll give you my opinion. But for most of you guys to say things like that, and it's like, I wouldn't take your opinion seriously anyway. You live and die by other people's opinions. And keep in mind, even if I respect somebody and if I like someone's opinions on stuff, that doesn't mean we're always 100% going to agree on everything. What is this thing where you have to agree with whoever your favorite content creator is on everything? Like, I don't know where that comes from. It's just a bunch of sheep. And then the other thing I'll mention is that, you know, a lot of people sometimes don't understand, like, even if you agree with someone or disagree with them about a movie, at least you'll come to the understanding about why you didn't like it. That's all that matters, though, why you didn't like certain things. And you can only have that opinion if you've watched it. You know, that's just how it goes. Now, if you're just someone who doesn't want to watch it, just say I don't want to watch it. But stirring up retarded logic like that, it just makes no sense. This guy said, this is a very Gen X take. Good Lord. This all right.
So funny.
That's
how you know the guy doesn't know me at all.
The industry isn't struggling. Fuck. Yep.
It's Nile right there.
Yep. Movies bombing and flopping.
See, like, that second
right.
sentence is so contradictory or words. But you know what I'm trying to say. It's like, he says one thing in the first half, and then the second half.
Yeah, because how does that work, though? I don't know how that works, though. Being someone from a certain generation, having a certain take, how does that equal the industry struggling? Like, the industry isn't struggling. The generation it was made for just isn't going. I mean, these are all three different things. First of all, the generation that it's made for isn't going. I mean, okay, I can agree with that. But the problem with the other one is, like, if you actually genuinely think the industry isn't struggling, I don't even know what to tell you. I think you're just living under a rock. Like, you'd be living under a rock if you think that. But I will say this, though. Like, sometimes when it comes to box office, a lot of people have to understand it could be just wrong place, wrong time. You know, this happened like several years ago when it came to Mission Impossible 8, when it was called Dead Reckoning. When it was called Dead Reckoning Part 1, and then they changed it to this. Yeah. 2 new blockbusters. You had the Barbenheimer thing come out literally the week after. The big problem with this movie, is what I've noticed, is that it literally came out when 5 other big giant blockbusters are coming out. It's not the best time to release something, because that would mean that the competition just starts eating itself. Why would someone choose to watch He-Man over Toy Story 5 or Supergirl coming up or Spider-Man or Minions 3 is coming out very soon? Guys, the last Minions movie made like $930 million. Do you think?
Always money makers.
I love Minions. I don't care what I said. I'm a Minion supremacy guy. But
this is
even though I love my yellow dildos.
Expecting from you.
I love my yellow dildos. But the thing is,
Simpson. Never mind.
Good Lord. But my thing here is, just because a movie comes out and doesn't do as well at the box office, that doesn't indicate it was a bad movie. I mean, to be fair, if it could, depending on if you've seen it. If you've seen it, you could kind of maybe kind of gauge that. But the problem with that is, guys, there's been many movies that have come out, bombed at the box office, and did well retroactively on streaming in terms of like viewing habits. I'm not saying the movie made a lot of money for streaming, but viewing habits, cult classics, all this stuff. A lot of these cult classics, a lot of these great movies you guys like, did not do well theatrically when they came out. A good amount of them didn't. Some did, right? So, or people just aren't interested. It could be that too. Maybe people just really aren't as interested.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of big franchises that just people aren't care for, regardless of if it's actually a good product or not, you know?
This guy said, because who the fuck cares about He-Man? Whose idea was it to spend this much making content no one wanted? I mean, they have to give people a reason to like it, though. Like, these are the type of takes that broke people always say. Well, who would care if this happened? Well, that depends on the actual finished product, though. And judging off the word of mouth from a lot of people's tweets I've read from, it sounds like if you cut, this is the most general take I've seen with the movie, is that if you cut like 20 minutes off of it, it's a lot better. And they maybe needed to dial down a few of the jokes, and it's a completely fine movie. Most things I've heard about it isn't really that
the biggest
bad.
Thing.
Yeah, most things I've heard about it really isn't that bad. Like, I've not heard like this movie getting the reception that like the Marvels got, or like some of the most recent shittiest movies ever. Like He-Man definitely didn't get the same type of reception that Mortal Kombat got a few years ago. Like, that movie was horrible. I can see why that movie fucking fell. That movie's god awful. Hollywood spends too much time talking about politics, which has alienated a large portion of America. I'm sure the Odyssey and Young Washington will do well, but not much else. That's because a lot of the viewing audience doesn't spend a lot of time on social media. But these are like so many conflicting things. Like, yes, Twitter isn't real life. Yes, but I don't really feel like the He-Man trailer was anything super political, though. I don't feel like it did that. I watched the trailer. It didn't. I don't think it did anything.
Yeah, people tried to put a political spin on it.
It was marketed as a
here's my
woke
general
movie.
Take on that is I think
it was marketed as a woke movie. What people do you attract in these comment sections?
I don't know. It's the one thing to kick off. Yeah. I don't like the whole thing of like people calling things woke and things. I always find it dumb because movies I think have always had a real life undertone to them in some degree. They always do. And so, like, if you wanted to, you could call. I feel like you could find any reason to call anything woke if you wanted to.
Like, literally, you could just call Top Gun like military propaganda if you want to.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing is, like, you know, everybody loves the original Star Wars, and you look at that, and it's like, well, that was telling the story of like it was based from one of the World Wars.
Yeah,
World War II. And so, yeah,
it was like marketed as a woke movie. As a kid, I was a huge He-Man fan. No way I was going to see this woke slop based on the trailers. Devil Wears Prada 2 just crossed over 500 million. Oh, sorry. Devil Wears Prada 2 just crossed over $600 million. Another problem, too. Look at all. I totally forgot that one came out and did that well. So the thing is, because come on, it's never just one thing. One could argue no one was really massively interested in another He-Man project. One could also argue, why did you release it when 6 other big blockbusters are going to come out? Mandalorian and Grogu just came out. Devil Wears Prada 2 just came out. Scary Movie 6 is coming out. We have Steven Spielberg's newest movie that just came out. Supergirl is coming out. Obsession is out. Backrooms is out. There's no way that movie was going to do well. Even if you think it's good, even if you thought it was going to do, that's like 8 movies it's competing with. The movie, what they should have done is they should have just delayed it and pushed it to a month where there's not as much competition, like August when kids go back to school or September when kids are in school. You know what I mean? That's when you put it out, or you put it out Father's Day, or you put it out around a little bit, I would say not February, just around those periods. I think this is just bad timing. Look, that's 8 movies it's competing with too. There's no way it could do that well. And Minions 3 is coming out. Toy Story 5 is coming. Toy Story 5 is literally coming out. That's a fucking... This was dead on arrival as far as, like, making money. Director and lead actress had foot-and-mouth disease. All right. And first trailer or 2 weren't well received. Bad promotion for a very fun film that people should go see. A lot of people that grew up with He-Man now have kids that are too old to hook, which doesn't help. I think you can show kids that stuff, and it just depends, though. Like, people always say, well, kids are too young to know what that is. What? I don't really know about that. People show their kids, like, the original Mighty Morphin Power Rangers and the original Star Wars. I don't know about... That's always such a weird argument, though. Well, kids can't get into it because it's too old. Well, by that logic, then that would have applied when you were a kid, when certain things have already passed. Whatever. That's just stupid. That's actually just retarded. If the character wasn't a permanent joke, I would have given it a good review. Funny how female superheroes never stumble or make a mistake, but male ones can't do a serious minute without stumbling or being generally clumsy. He's just so over it. I don't know if that's true, but okay, I guess. Man, you attracted a hornet's nest here. You thought it was awesome, for fuck's sake. Yeah, so people having an opinion. Actually crazy. Utterly crazy you can have an opinion. What is
that? I haven't seen that one.
Lols, are you gay? What the fuck? If you like feminine lead characters with tone of rock pop background music and a parody of central characters and a plot too dull to assault your sense, then yeah, Masters of the Universe is a certified hit. All right. I don't think this person saw the movie, though, judging from how
No, I'm pretty sure most people that criticize it hasn't even seen the movie. You know, they just judge it from stuff that's, you know, not true. But I didn't take it seriously after I saw the first few.
Oh my god. Like, that's kind of the way that I would kind of push the movie. It came out, it's too crowded. And people can say, well, other movies made a lot of money. That's true. They did. Well, then that's why multiple things can be true at once. Crowded, that's what's going to happen when you release a movie in this much crowd. Second, there's probably just not that much interest currently in the Masters of the Universe brand. Now you have to go, okay, why wasn't there interest? Was because of the previous thing before this? Now, if that's true, and I read some statement where the Amazon people are like, no, we're fine with it, guys. Amazon is the richest company probably in the entire world who literally got here from making money. The notion they don't care about making money, you'd be retarded if you suggest that to me. Second thing, I'll say right now, if they're fine with the box office numbers, which I know they aren't, because these are filthy rich people. If they announce a sequel and make a sequel, that'll prove they didn't care about the box office. And if they don't, and if they actually do care about the numbers that it generated, you won't see another one. I know Travis Knight's talked about he's gonna pick a person for that one character coming out and everything. I know he said he had like a actress he had in mind and something like that. But if Amazon doesn't care what the numbers are, you'll see another movie. Or maybe they should do what that movie Prey did, which is what Hulu and Disney did for that movie Prey. Just throw it on streaming then.
That movie should have been in theaters. I wish that movie was in theaters. There's not a lot of streaming movies I see that I wish was on the big screen. That is probably on the top of the list of things I wish was in theaters. That movie was amazing. Go on. I love that movie.
No, you're good. My fucking I got nose graped by a fly. Oh. Hey, it's my L's. Oh yeah, make sure we just give her an L as usual. We always give women L's around here. That's what we do.
Wow. Hi, welcome in, Sparkles. Good to have you here.
Good lord. Goodness gracious. But I will understand. That's how interest goes. That's how you gauge things, right? And if the numbers are that low, well, that's probably because of that would have to be brand recognition, right? So if people did like the Kevin Smith animated series, well, you're going to have to fix that. You're going to have to probably see what works, what doesn't work, and how we can do this. I would imagine releasing a movie with 8 or 9 new blockbusters taking up all the money, probably not a good idea. I'll just suggest that just from the jump, just don't release something when there's 9 other competitors there. And people are going to say, but MSK, McDonald's and Burger King are allowed to coexist. That's not the same. Movies and food are not the same in any context ever. If you think that, you're retarded, right? I need food to live. I don't need to go see a movie to live, obviously. Also, isn't Michael still in the theaters too? Isn't Michael still playing?
I don't know if it is. That's a good call.
It's in like some $5 theaters, right? It's all like, yeah. So another movie taking up space, obviously. So time for topic time and time to have sex with women, obviously. All right, give me 1 second here. Let me take this out. All right, we're going to get through this in a little bit. I have a time limit we have today, so we're going to make sure this is done. All right. Hey everyone, I am MSK, aka Master Swag King, coming at you guys today with another video. And if you guys are returning viewers or new viewers, then please consider subscribing to the channel if you've not already. Leave a like on this video if you enjoyed it and comment down below. Also, make sure you guys hit the notification bell. That way you guys can get notified on whenever I upload a brand new video. And in today's video, we are going to be doing a comic book review on Absolute Superman issue 6. So if you guys have not had a chance to check out our previous comic book reviews on Absolute Superman issues 1 through 5, I would highly recommend you guys go and check out our previous comic book reviews on Absolute Superman issues 1 through 5. That way you guys can understand how we felt about those individual issues compared to this one. And we are now finally at the final issue of the first arc of Absolute Superman. And this is actually the epilogue issue in this first arc of Absolute Superman, because it's just titled Epilogue, actually. And this first arc was the last dust of Krypton, and this would be 6 issues if you bought Absolute Superman Volume 1, whether you bought it in hardcover or trade paperback, obviously. And overall, this was a nice little issue to cap off the first arc. And it actually gave a pretty nice insight on what happened after the last issue concluded versus to where we are at now. And then it kind of makes everything come a lot full circle, right? So when the book first starts, Superman is like in this area. You don't really know how he got there or why he's in this current predicament in his life. And then the more issues that progress, you're finally at a point where, you understand why the first issue was kind of where it was and where issues 2 through 5 ended up being at. So now, going into the next arc, we're going to have the villains that come out and take on Superman. So as you guys probably know, because Absolute Superman is going to be on issue 21 very, very soon, the main two villains so far, at least revealed at the end of this one, is Ra's al Ghul. Like people say Ra's al Ghul. That's how you supposed to pronounce it. It's Arabic. So the great Ra's al Ghul, as they say. And Brainiac is also the main two villains for Absolute Superman so far. Who knows what the other villains are coming up? Because that's how life is. We live and die by surprises here. So, Dingus, how'd you feel about this issue before we start covering it? Did you like the nice little epilogue issue that we got here?
Yeah, I did. I thought it was a really good issue. I think, honestly, out of the ones we've reviewed, I would honestly say that it's probably the best one up to this point. I thought it was a great self-contained issue. There's a lot of good things in it, so I'm looking forward to talking a little bit about it.
Yep. Also, before we start talking about it, have you ever seen this Batman Ninja movie? I heard the reviews for it were so bad for the first one. I didn't bother checking out the first one at all.
I stopped watching the first one halfway through because I could not get into it. I didn't like the premise of that movie. I might give it another shot sometime because I know people do. I know a lot of people do like that movie, and so I might give it another shot. But the way how they did it, I wasn't a fan of.
Yeah, I mean that because you know how we talked about in this review before the review happens, where going off reviews and stuff, I heard so much negative things about it. Like this is one of those things where I usually would just watch it for myself, but it's one of those where like I think I saw a trailer for it back when it first came out. Like when they're first promoting it, and I was like, "Yeah, this looks kind of gay."
I get annoyed when these things that look like Elseworlds don't commit to them being Elseworlds, and that really bothered me with that movie.
Yeah,
and so I don't know. I might give it another shot sometime, but not anytime soon.
All right, so we start off with an ad for Summer of Superman. To be fair, I actually read this issue. I did
too.
Nice little wholesome issue right there. It's really weird. So like not weird as bad. Like he's talking to Lana and she it's such a weird thing in the first part of the book. We're like, how do people talk like this? But then I realized these are teenagers, so they're gonna talk pretty fucking stupid all the time. So Krypton exploded last issue, and then we move to a point which we have a very massive time jump from the first like 3 pages. So we start off right here where you're at deep space 6 years ago. So Clark ended up getting separated from his parents when the planet exploded. To be fair, they might still be alive. I'm pretty sure that's going to be a plot point at some point. I don't really personally think they're dead in this universe, but let's just say they're dead for continuity's sake, right? He believes they're dead, right? So then we get this awesome narration from how Clark feels being in this ship that was drifting off to find habitable life, because Soul is tasked with finding a habitable planet like our planet, right? So we get all these different time jumps right here. So the first one is 8 days since Krypton exploded, 8 weeks since Krypton exploded, 8 months since Krypton exploded. And then Clark is, going crazy because he's all alone. He lost his parents. Obviously, this was really cool narration from Jason Aaron initially when the issue starts. Then we jump to another point where we get to this part right here, which is 17 months, 14 days since Krypton exploded. Basically, Clark is at the point where he's I would argue, just contemplating suicide right there. He's contemplating just just let me die in peace. So he's at the point where he's just ready to give up. And then they stumble across the sun right there, which is very, very awesomely drawn right there in the bottom of these two panels right here. Because Clark wants Soul to just drop him off right in that big yellow sun. Now, keep in mind, guys, that sun that powers our planet, that thing apparently burns at a degrees where if you people need to understand this though. I'm not space buff, but you couldn't even get to Venus before you actually exploded, because Venus is literally you die. Just put it out there, you die. These planets are hot. So I'd imagine that if he contemplated killing himself, he's like, you know what? Fuck it. So, it's crazy how he knew his son would kill him, though. So like, let's just say, so Clark contemplates killing himself, and then his powers start activating as most Kryptonians and most of the Superman mythos. Anytime a Kryptonian gets into our atmosphere, their powers start activating, obviously. So Soul finally detects life-sustaining people on planet Earth, and then after that, we jump to the Martha and Jonathan Kent portion of the story. So basically, long story short, their farm is not producing crops enough to make them money. Then Martha tells John that, hey, I know someone that sold their farmland to Lazarus to, make money. Obviously, they don't want to sell their farm because it's been in their family. It's been in their family for generations. And, Martha believes that Lazarus is causing this, which would make them want to sell. So she thinks it's a conspiracy theory that they're like actively damaging their farm or the land around their farm so it doesn't grow crops, so they don't sell anything. As you guys know, with farms, you have to grow crops, you have to grow this stuff in order to sell it to the corporations who buy it. Obviously, as you guys probably know that. So after that, Superman crash lands in the Kent backyard, actually, in their farm, and then he's just burning up. He's trying to control his powers. That's a really cool like Phoenix image right there. And then after that, as you guys can see, he can't speak English to them because, well, they talk a different language than we do. Even though it's English to them, it'd be obviously flipped if they come here. And then Martha runs up to Clark, and then he just passes out after that from landing on Earth. So what did you think about these first few parts of the book so far?
Well, I thought how it opened was great, seeing Clark go, or Kal-El, he's not Clark yet, seeing him go crazy in the spaceship as he's going there, and really being able to see the effect of what the culmination, I mean, we were talking about a bit last time with Krypton exploding and whatnot. Really seeing how it affected him, and I thought that was really well done. And then we start finally being able to really see the Kents and seeing their predicament. It was a pretty good setup, I think, for them, and seeing how they're struggling and how their sort of stance on their current world they're in is. Yep.
And then after that, we get to a point where, so if you guys have watched most Superman mythos, actually, whenever he actually lands on the Kent farm, they go through these stages where, like, he randomly maybe has heat vision burst out of his eyes. Maybe he pushes something so hard it goes like 20 feet into the air. He starts flying. Like I remember in Smallville, there was episodes where they talked about, like, when he was a kid, if he had like super mega outbursts, they wouldn't even touch him because he would just like destroy everything. So, if you've watched like Smallville, you would kind of understand how most of this would go. This is a very light little Smallville influence, in my opinion, where, obviously they're trying to Martha is trying to take care of him. John's a little bit more skeptical of him because, well, obviously a fucking kid just fell out of the damn sky. Obviously, they would be like, what the fuck just happened?
We had a really cool shot on the previous page where it's literally like angel wings there when he's falling down, really cool. Which is awesome.
Because I remember Martha in an earlier panel was talking about, maybe an angel comes down and gives them something. Actually, talking about, later in the book too, she's mentioning, hey, this angel was sent from the sky to help us. And then right after this, so Clark, goes through these stages of his powers, essentially, starting from this, like he's levitating, slams back down, heat vision activates. Next page, John's like, we can't keep him. And then Martha's like, he's just confused, suffering, doesn't know what he's doing. He's been through something awful, she says, to get here. And then, as you know, he just shoots out of the room, actually, because he can fly at exponential speeds, actually. So after that, Clark starts narrating to himself. I'm pretty sure this is the part where Soul comes back in a little bit here. So you have all of this monologuing he's doing to himself most of the book right here, which is, I think, pretty cool because Jason Aaron's writing can be sometimes pretty hit or miss depending on what comic book he's writing at the time. But I noticed the dialogue here was very, very surreal. I actually really enjoyed it a lot when he's talking about this was a strange alien world where the sun made me want to claw the skin from my bones. What was this land of surreal horror where Soul had stranded me? He's talking about just how much Earth now feels like home to him compared to Krypton. Nice 2-page spread here where you can see all the land right there. It was pretty fucking cool, actually.
Really good art in this issue.
He says, waves rippled through a sea of gold that stretched to the horizon. No sound to be heard except the wind. I've flown 9 million light years, yet somehow impossibly I was home. So now he considers Earth home. And then after that, he makes it back to the Kent farm where he just effortlessly lifts the tractor that John's working on.
Yeah.
And then John's like, I know you don't understand a single damn word I'm saying, boy. Then Martha later is like, stop saying boy. Good Lord. I need to say this anyway. Hell, if I can wrangle the words. He says, thank you for what you've done for us. You amazing angel. And I don't just mean you're lugging our tractor around. And then Martha's like, you saved Jonathan. Thank you for saving Martha. Because as you know, they were asking for an angel to come save them, And then John talks about, I don't know what you are or where you come from. And I ain't never heard of no language. Sounds nothing like the one you speak. But I know a farmer's boy when I see one. And I know you came here searching for something. Might just be it's the same thing we was looking for too. And I just hope, I hope we can maybe find it together. Nice little wholesome stuff right there. And then Clark on the next page begins fixing their tractor because, well, obviously, they think it's broken and unrepairable. So Clark is mumbling to himself, and Soul begins to activate because Soul powered down when he got to Earth. He says, apologies, my recharging took too much longer than I anticipated. Cal, be warned, I fear this system's yellow sun may supercharge your Kryptonian cells in wildly unexpected ways. And Clark's like, you don't say. Yeah, because he couldn't guide him through the process of his powers because, well, as you guys know, Soul powered down when he got here. That's kind of fucked up. Yeah, the systems that's supposed to help you with controlling that shit just... Okay, now, what if he just murked the whole planet? What if he just shot his heat vision through the core of our Earth and just exploded? Oh, oopsie, my bad. I was powered down. So then he says, I should be able to help you process and control that solar energy. I've also managed to review all available history of this planet. It's called Earth, and its human civilization is quite young, barely a few thousand years old. And then Clark's like, never mind that for now, Soul. I need you to download whatever language these people speak. That's how he can speak English to them now because he had Soul downloaded to them. He's like his AI guide, actually.
Yeah.
Then shut up for a minute while I clear my mind. And then, John tells Clark breakfast is ready. And then she's like, you gotta start calling him boy like you're in a Tarzan movie. And then Clark finally tells him his name. He's like, my name is Kal-El. I keep calling him Clark, but we don't call him Clark yet. But he says, my name is Kal-El, and I fixed your tractor. He's like, my God, Kal-El, such a lovely name. It's a pleasure to finally meet you. And they formally introduce themselves right here as John and Martha right there. And then after that, Soul says, Cal, I detected some manner of remote drones operating in the skies above with apparent weather influencing capabilities. So Martha was right. They were influencing the crops growing on their farm, actually. And then after that, he says, I took the liberty of disabling them. And then, well, you would say meteors? No, these airborne planes that start coming down and then...
Yeah, the little drones. It was talked about earlier that the reason why the farm could be struggling is they think drones might be interfering because they knew that all the neighbors were getting rain, but because they didn't agree with
Selling their
whatever the
farm.
company. Yeah, that's right. And so, yeah, those drones like they potentially figured.
And then Clark says, hello, Kent. And they're like, my God, because, well, there's been rain. And they said it rained for 3 days straight. No storm would be enough to save the Kent's crops. Not that season, but it was something maybe sort of like hope. For one moment, at least, brief it was. And then I would say someone turned them in for having Kal-El on their farm, because it says, I guess you could say someone was getting a call, and it says, you reached the Lazarus Corp Homeland Security tip line. Listen to your options before speaking your choice. One report, suspect terrorist activity. Holy mother of fuck. 2, report immigration violation. 2. And then, obviously, the peacemakers who work for, the peacemaker minions who work for Lazarus storm the Kent farm right here.
Mm-hmm.
And they try taking him, and Martha's like, he's just a child. And then, John tries intercepting. He gets hit to the ground. And then after that, one of the peacemakers says, the boy's got no ID, no work permit. We're taking him in for processing. Little fellow stronger than he looks. They try slamming him up against the vehicle they have. And then after that, Soul says, Cal, I cannot allow you to be taken by these men. And then Superman, obviously right here, is like resisting them. He has a power. I don't think he has a. I'm pretty sure it's not as defined. He has a power where essentially he can essentially yell, and it can knock someone away, which is pretty cool, actually. And then Cal's like, "Why are they doing this, Soul?" And then and he says, "Because we do not belong here. Talk to them. Tell them who we are. Tell them about Krypton. I cannot do that. My mission is to protect you." And it's actually a good thing he had Soul, because telling them that would have been a bad idea. That wouldn't have been a great idea to tell peacemakers what the hell you are, where you're from, and why you're there. He says, tell them we have nowhere else to. Kal-El, and John says, son, please. And then Martha says, go, right here. And then he just shoots into the sky. He just goes into the sky. And then after that, we get this final piece of dialogue right here, where he says, I'd spent months weeping from Krypton for everything I'd lost, but that day, the tears were different. I wept for the world I'd found, the one that I could already tell I wouldn't be able to save any more than I had the last. And then the one peacemaker guy, it's like, holy shit, that guy can fly. And then after that, he says, for almost 5 years, I would run the other farms far away to factories and mines, cities where the people were piled on top of each other like trash, and islands where you could stay for days and never see another soul. But nowhere stayed safe, not for long, and no place felt so much like home as the home that might have been. So in this universe, he hadn't really been with the Kents for so long. Like most of the time in most Superman continuity, and even like Elseworld stories, he'll like be with the Kents for like most of his life. He's only with them for like what? Maybe a few days, 4 days max, actually, right? And then that's how you figure out why he was in Brazil when the first issue started, because he went to the sky and he was running from the peacemakers, which are the immigration law. He's running from them. That's why in the first issue, he's obviously not with the Kents. And then we go to Kansas right here, right? Because Kal-El mentioned earlier in the book that this is Kansas. Lois goes to the place where Martha is being held. Why did you say that name? And then Lois asks her, hey, I'm a friend of the family right here. So basically Lois is now gonna eventually get to meet Martha. And then after that, we get to another point where Brainiac is talking to someone. And who is Brainiac talking to? Well, he is talking to Mr. Ra's al Ghul, actually, because those are the
quite a big reveal.
Yep, those are the two main villains right here.
Yeah.
So, what did you think about this last part of the book, where you get to him getting essentially confronted by the peacemakers, leaving, and then the last two parts where Lois and then Roz and Brainiac get revealed?
I mean, I like seeing Kal-El and seeing the relationship with Martha and Pa Kent. That's always such an important aspect to Superman lore. And so even though, as you were talking about that, it's brief, I still very much liked what we got out of that from them, and saying like how even though his time was brief with them, we saw how important his time with them was. And so I thought that was a really important part, and like how they did that. But then, seeing the Peacemakers, they're brutal in this, and we really do get to see that, and it just makes for a tragic kind of end here where he has to leave. He doesn't have any home. He thought maybe he could finally make a home here, as we know in usual Superman lore, but he can't now. And so, but yeah, and then the end is exciting because Brainiac's always a great villain, and so I'm always excited to see more Brainiac, and always excited to see more.
Yeah.
Getting more setup with him as we're getting closer and closer to seeing more actual
dialogue
things in this.
The dialogue between Brainiac and Roz coming in the last page was very well written, very good too. I also say, so some people have always asked, what's the deal with the Lazarus Pit? So the basic stuff that I know about it is kind of the basic thing they always use. So essentially, it grants him immortal life. But the catch to the Lazarus Pit is that every single time you use it, in the most common ways of continuity, they always kind of portray it, it makes the person who goes inside of it more insane, right? So if you guys remember that Batman movie where it's the one that's based off like Grant Morrison's run, where Batman discovers he has a son. It's like the son of Batman, right? You guys remember how Talia goes into that Lazarus Pit, and then like the next movie, a movie after the second one, it's like the third one where she's kind of like completely evil again. People are like, well, why did that happen? What did she go into in the other movie? She went to the Lazarus Pit. The Lazarus Pit amplifies someone to be insane. That's why most people have kind of said, as many times as Ra's al Ghul has used that, that's the reason why he's insane. He keeps using the Lazarus Pit to stay alive, but he's supposed to be dead. He's actually he's been alive for a long time. The more you use that Lazarus Pit, the more times you become insane. And imagine using that thing like 1,000 times, right? So another big component of that is like the Red Hood angle. So when Jason Todd died, he got brought back by the Lazarus Pit in like that one movie. Yeah, he's going to be a little insane after using it, because that's kind of the side effects of using the Lazarus Pit. It's kind of like a double-edged sword. You can come back to life, but your brain might not be all that intact when you actually, come back to life. So, yeah, Roz and Brainiac are Superman's villains this time around. Once the Superman kneels at the feet of his holy father, Ra's al Ghul. Nice way to end off the book. Also, he had said in that last part that the Lazarus Pit was deactivating. So being able to at will use the Lazarus Pit is actually pretty fucking interesting of an idea. So what is your final thoughts and opinions about Absolute Superman issue 6?
Like I said, I think it's of the first 6, I think it's the strongest issue. It also stands really well as being its own solo issue too, which is, I think, something that helps too, because comics were originally meant to be, you have one issue with one story. Sure, it could be a chapter in a larger story, but it should still stand on its own. And I think this issue actually does a really good job of standing on its own. And so I think that's great. Even though it's just for an issue, I liked all the stuff with seeing Kal-El with Martha and Jonathan Kent was great. And then we got to actually see, getting to see some big setup things. I am caught up on all the current Absolute Superman stuff, and like
you say it got better and better.
I do think it where it is going is really exciting. I will say seeing Ra's al Ghul was a cool. I probably got a surprise or spoiled knowing the internet, but it's such a cool inclusion of the character, because it's one of those things that you look at him and you're like, wait a moment, he's supposed to be a Batman villain. Why is he over in Batman? And why are they turning a Batman villain into a Superman villain? And sure, I think it's a valid question.
Absolute Evil. That Absolute Evil.
I did.
Yeah. So now that I've read this, I was kind of thinking like Ra's al Ghul and Brainiac were not in. Like, it was Brainiac kind of honing in on their meeting with Mirror Master, but no, Roz and Brainiac are working together. So essentially, Roz, Brainiac working together. Now, does Roz know that Brainiac utilizes Mirror Master later on? Like, I don't know. So we'll have to see how that goes. But no, Absolute Superman, so far, I didn't really care for issue 1 all that much. I thought it was written kind of wonky, but issues 2 through 6 have been pretty fucking good. So yeah, can't wait to keep reading and reviewing this series, and we will see how high Superman can fly with Absolute Superman issue 7 when we do a comic book review about that issue. Sorry, when we do a Absolute Superman issue 7 comic book review next week or whatever. Can't wait to see what that one holds for the future. And my future is definitely going to be with hot ladies, Lamborghinis, strippers, and all that stuff. Obviously, it's just what happens when you're a top G-Riz master. So thank you guys for checking out this video. If you guys are returning viewers or new viewers, then please consider subscribing to the channel if you've not already. Leave a like on this video if you enjoyed it, and comment down below. Also, make sure you guys hit the notification bell. That way you guys can get notified on whenever I upload a brand new video. I'm MSK, aka Master Swag King, and we're going to be signing out, guys. See you guys later. Goodbye. Peace. And now we're going to our last thing. You see, I can be quick and easy, just like my wife. I can be fast,
Do you
All
have
right.
one of those?
I don't know.
You
I
don't know?
I don't know if I have one of those. Fuck me. Let me, because I had this thing bookmarked. Give me one sec. Masters of the butt fucking. Oh, I have it. Bake's office. No. God damn it. Movie web Masters of the Universe. Let me see. Give me one sec. Confirmation, blah, blah, blah. Changes to the lore? What the fuck? Courtesy explained. Okay. Here we go. Oh, we'll just use this one. This one came out a few weeks ago. All right. You know what's crazy? I did go to a strip club, and that was fucking amazing. Can't wait to go this year again. Have those girls sit on my face, actually. Do you think that they would want to come home with me after that? Probably. That girl told me I could come home with her, and I was like, hey, yo, that's what's up. But then we had to leave. I could have got laid. Dingus, I could have got fucking laid.
You ruined it.
I did not ruin it. She was a freak. Good Lord. All right, let's talk about this. Hey everyone, I am MSK, aka Master Swag King, coming at you guys today with another video. And if you guys are returning viewers or new viewers, then please consider subscribing to the channel if you have not already. Leave a like on this video if you enjoyed it and wanted to have sex with me. I'm gonna blow your back. Good Lord. I lost my brain.
Why are you this way? Why are you this way?
I lost my train of thought. I lost it. It's just not there anymore. Oh my God, I forgot one more thing.
Oh my God.
I forgot one more thing. Dingus. I forget everything. Oh, that's not good. Oh, that's not good at all. All right. Let's have some. Okay, one more thing. One more thing. Give me one sec. Obviously. Let's do this. Give me one sec. Let me make sure I type this in really quickly. Make sure I have a good full picture of the numbers right there. All right, now we're good. Hey everyone, I am MSK, aka Master Swag King, coming at you guys today with another video. And if you guys are returning viewers or new viewers, then please consider subscribing to the channel if you have not already. Leave a like on this video if you enjoyed it and comment down below. Also, make sure you guys hit the notification bell. That way you guys can get notified on whenever I upload a brand new video or go live. And in today's video, we are going to be talking about the Masters of the Universe box office opening weekend, and also talking about why this movie is currently flopping at the box office worldwide. So Masters of the Universe doesn't really have a lot of media outside of like the original movie that came out, the original cartoon, the cartoon that I watched when I was a kid back when it was airing on Cartoon Network. That's my personal He-Man. That's what I identify as He-Man, obviously. As you guys know, I had toys from it. I thought it was really, really cool. You know, I used to love watching it as a kid. Man, that is my Master of the Universe right there. And then after that, we have like what? The Kevin Smith Netflix animated show that was for like 2 seasons. And then we have this actually. So if you guys don't actually know, I mean, also you have like the comic books as well. I think there's 2 Masters of the Universe like comic books that could be enough to make like 2 omnibuses, honestly. I think you have like the one that's like super overpriced, that's like $250 someone tried selling it for, and then you have like the other one. So I'm pretty sure as far as like comic books, actually, there's like enough to make like 2 omnis, which I've seen the first one, but the other one I heard is not as good. But you know, Master Universe is a pretty interesting franchise because we're now at this point where a lot of people don't remember this. Do you remember this, dude? So this movie has been in production hell, guys, for a long time. This movie has gotten shopped around different writers, producers, directors, creatives, man, for as long as I can remember. I remember this movie getting talked about back in like 2013, 2014, obviously. Like, it's been shopped around forever. And I remember Netflix specifically passing on it. And then they just sold it to Amazon at a single point. I don't know why they never got it really off the ground, because Amazon had the rights for a little bit there, and that was pretty much it. And then they just got it to them, and that's just how we end up getting this movie. Now, this movie costs like $200 million, right? Not including marketing too. Now, there's several reasons why this movie probably isn't doing well. Now, the biggest one that I will say is probably interest. Sometimes certain movies come out based off like certain franchises and IPs. Sometimes, you know, there's just not a lot of interest there, right? Sometimes you just kind of find out that people just really aren't interested in a adaptation based off of their favorite IP in this way, right? I would say, given the success of the version of He-Man that I saw when I was a kid, you should probably keep this animated, right? But they're probably thinking like, well, people didn't really like the animated version of it that came out before, but it's like, that's for different reasons, obviously, right? I would say, is there an interest in watching a Master of the Universe live action movie currently right now? Based off the numbers, probably not. But we need to also analyze the other movies that have come out. So I want you guys to know there's been a lot of movies that have come out. And I'll compare this to the Barbenheimer thing that happened a few years ago. So Tom Cruise's Mission Impossible 7 came out, and then the Barbenheimer movie came out. Oh, sorry, the Barbenheimer theme came out, where you had the Barbie movie, and then Oppenheimer came out. And what you need to understand is that these kind of big blockbuster movies kind of galvanize and eat each other, right? So now, keep in mind what I just said there. There's 2 of them that came out right after Mission Impossible 7 came out. How many movies do you guys think are competing with this right now? Now, to be fair, that's no excuse for a low box office number, but I'm just giving you guys more clarity on why, right? So we had Obsession, Backrooms, Mandalorian and Grogu, Toy Story 5's coming out. We have the 3rd Minions movie coming out, right? Supergirl's coming out, right? Devil Wears Prada 2 is also coming out. Scary Movie 6 is already out.
Yeah.
Then you have the other movies that are still making money, still out there. Like you have Michael still making money. Scream 7 is still making money, right? There's so much competition. It was just by the sheer amount of movies coming out right in this very moment, it was not going to do well. And as most people know, the summer movie season for the box office is like the most lucrative of it, right? So it makes sense why they would put it out right now, because this is the busiest time of the theaters year, because kids are out of school, people are traveling, more free time to go watch the movies, obviously, right? But when you're dropping a movie like this and this crowded of a library of movies coming out, it's just not going to do well, even if it is good. I haven't seen it yet. I'll probably have to wait and see it either. Probably have to watch when it comes on VOD. I could tell you the biggest main reasons. People probably just don't care enough to see a live action version enough to sustain it money wise, or it's just too crowded. That's it. Come on, guys, watch it. That's like 10 movies I just told you right there. And in all that competition, yes, I got to do too well. Now, I will offer some grace here, right? So just because a movie didn't do well box office wise has no indicator of the movie's quality. It could and couldn't. It really just depends, obviously. It's not a one-way street when you're talking about these things, and it's not just a two-way street when you talk about these things. It's always just very case-by-case basis. Like, people always bring up Captain Marvel. Yeah, Captain Marvel is not $1 billion movie, in my opinion. That movie's complete, utter horseshit. It made money by complete luck, obviously, right? Or sometimes a movie can do well box office-wise, depending on how good it is. Like Top Gun Maverick coming out. I think Top Gun Maverick was very, very good. I think $1 billion makes perfect sense for that movie. But if it did make $1 billion, would it be any less good if it did make $1 billion? So whenever you're having these kind of measurements, they don't really make a lot of sense, obviously. So this movie, if it has a $200 million price tag, without marketing, it would need to make like $500 million to break even. That's not profit. That's just breaking even. You apply marketing to that, it would need like $600 million to break even. And it's not making that. Now, there's been recent interviews with the people that have worked with Amazon, or maybe it was Travis Knight who did it. Because he did Bumblebee, he did Borderlands. Oh, Travis, why the fuck did you do that movie? That movie was shite. But I will say this though. If Amazon makes a sequel to this movie, that means that they pretty much confirm they didn't really care about the box office numbers, right? Okay. If they make another movie, they probably didn't care about the numbers. But this weird notion that people are using this cope where it's like, no, these billion-dollar conglomerate companies, which thrive off making money, they're known for trying to squeeze you out of every dollar possible. You're going to try to convince me that they don't care about money. Jeff Bezos doesn't care about money? Jeff Bezos is, well, more richer than God himself, probably. There's no way. That is a lie, right? Just because you might like a movie doesn't mean it was financially successful. And that does mean the studio obviously doesn't care about making money. Because if this movie had been making gangbusters, the studio would go like, you know what? It's making gangbusters. Go see it, right? Keep in mind, they might be playing the long haul. But that doesn't mean this movie was financially successful. And it's probably not going to be. But if the reception for it is relatively pretty good, you also must weigh out the good and the bad. If people actually liked it, but it didn't do that well because of the crowded competition, that's something there too, obviously, right? So you have seen it. Give me like your spoiler-free thoughts and opinions on it that you would say would convince people that they maybe missed out on a movie just because maybe someone else's opinion convinced them otherwise.
Well, the entertainment at the end of the day is meant to entertain, right? And I think sometimes all you should want from a movie is to just go and enjoy it, right? You go there for 2 hours, give or take a little bit, for how long the movie is, and just escape the current world we're in. That not everybody wants to always think about. There's always a bunch of stuff happening, and you just want to escape for 2 hours. And this movie is a great. It's a great way to just go into another world for 2 hours and just have a great time. And I think that's what's important. Is it's a great movie that I think you could take family to go see and just have a fun time. And I don't think there's anything more you can ask for that, because I think it captures the essence of what He-Man originally was with the classic cartoons. Because if you look at the classic cartoons, those, I mean, A, they haven't aged out well. But then B, they were also just, they were just fun. I mean, that's the thing, is like He-Man was originally built, they were just toys, and then they made the show to, sell the toys. That's why I had a bunch of fun characters.
Yeah.
And so, and it just embraces the 80s-ness of it, which I really enjoyed. It captures the core essence of what He-Man always was, which is something that I think a lot of people have forgotten. And surprisingly,
that thing you brought up earlier, when people want things super serious, though, I've never taken this property as super serious. Even the cartoon that a lot of people like that I watched, yeah, it was a little bit more serious, but it was still campy. You can have a slightly bigger serious tone of something while still keeping the essence of it. Like, what do people want in certain movies? So people keep saying these things like, I want my movie to be more serious. So, okay, if He-Man started smoking a blunt, started snorting meth, and then he snorted meth out of Skeletor's ass, would you like the movie more? This weird thing of like, how serious do you want your movie, though? Because people keep saying This is why I think the MCU ruined people's brains for movies, dude. I keep saying this. People think a movie just having any humor means it's just MCU humor. And it's like, oh my God, humor has existed in movies since it began. Ever since movies have began, it had humor in it. Now, is the MCU movie humor overdone in certain places? Obviously, yes. But this notion you can't have anything funny is like, what? What? That's crazy. People want to sit there in a movie theater going like this. Just sit there like this. I would not like to laugh. Fuck laughing. Laughing is for nerds. I don't like laughing. I don't like jokes. I need He-Man to talk about fisting some girl up her ass. I don't know. Like, I don't know, people want things sometimes, you know? They want things to be unapologetically what they are, but they don't like the humor aspect about them. That would be like making a Power Rangers movie or a TMNT movie and then not having the funny campiness element to it. That's why the Michael Bay ones didn't work, because they didn't have the funniness to them, you know? The Sonic movies are funny. No one ever talks about how unapologetically the Sonic movies are the way they are, because they are just that. Like, I feel like a lot of people don't want the properties to be what they are. If they're like that, they should be like that. It's not based off what the MCU is doing. That's just how He-Man is. It's supposed to be kind of like that, you know?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I think the movie captures what He-Man's meant to be. You have a lot of fun characters with it. Skeletor in particular is the highlight of the movie, which is crazy to say because when that movie got announced, or as we found out details about it, I was like really worried because I was like, you got the synopsis of where it talks about He-Man and Prince Adam on Earth for a little bit, and I'm like, no, I don't want to have the movie being on Earth because He-Man has its own world. You have Eternia. You want to be there in Eternia. I will say the movie goes through that whole Earth part pretty quickly, and so I was really happy about that. And that didn't dilly-dally too much there. And Skeletor was awesome, which is a huge surprise because I don't know about you, but I've never liked anything that I saw Jared Leto in. Yeah,
Me neither.
You know,
I think he
screwed up the Joker, and so when I saw him being Skeletor, I was like, no, I don't want you to screw up another one of my favorite ever villains.
Yeah.
And so
that guy gets so many
really
roles.
worried.
That guy gets so many roles for being so overrated. Like that guy, he was Morbius. That sucked. He was in this movie with Denzel Washington called I forgot what it's called. He was, oh my goodness. He was in a movie with Denzel Washington some years ago. They released it on HBO Max and that streaming bullshit they were doing. He was
I remember that movie. I didn't like that movie either. I was looking forward to that movie too. I remember
that movie sucked.
One.
He's shitty as Joker. Yeah, I like.
He was in Tron Ares. He was incredibly stale in Tron Ares, but then that also was like his character in the movie too. Like it was weird. One of those things of like him being stale, kind of like worked with that character, but like still, it's just like he's just not great. But no, Skeletor though. The first time I ever thought he was genuinely great in anything, and not like a turd sticking out. And he was awesome as Skeletor. He did Skeletor justice, which made me happy.
You might want to get checked out if your turds are sticking out of your butt like that. Might want to get checked out. How much Masters of the Universe needs to make at the box office? A feature film reboot of Masters of the Universe has been in development since 2007, making it a project 19 years in the making. The adaptation of the beloved 1980s toy line and the animated series He-Man and the Masters of the Universe has finally made its way to the big screen. Expectations are high, and in the best case scenario, the movie will become a Transformers or Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles level hit. However, Masters of the Universe is entering a crowded summer blockbuster season, one that has already seen established franchises like Star Wars struggle against smaller budget horror films like Obsession and Backrooms, which are aimed at a younger audience. Will Masters of the Universe's status as a 40-year-old property hurt its box office chances with an audience unfamiliar with the brand, or will nostalgia carry the film? Here's a breakdown of the Masters of the Universe budget, what it needs to earn back, and the obstacles along the way. Also, did you not mind when I forgot I said, oh my god, Idris Elba, this is the race swapped version of this character. You didn't mind that, right?
No, I don't mind it as long as the actor is good in the role.
Did he do a good role? He did good, right?
I mean, yeah, I think Idris Elba always does good. I thought he was good. Yeah.
Hey, he's black. Masters of the Universe has a reported budget of between 170 million and 200 million. Even on the lower end, that makes Masters of the Universe more expensive than The Mandalorian and Grogu, which had a $166.4 million budget. It's also higher than Mattel's other high-profile feature film adaptation, Barbie, which cost $150 million. At $200 million, Masters of the Universe would have the same budget as Amazon MGM's recent hit, Project Hail Mary, which has grossed $342 million domestically and $678 million worldwide. However, Project Hail Mary had more working in its favor than Masters of the Universe does. Project Hail Mary was an adaptation of a popular book by Andy Weir and had a strong critical reaction heading into its release, along with strong word of mouth to sustain it in the following months. Masters of the Universe has earned 73% on Rotten Tomatoes, which is good, but not great rating. It will need word of mouth to sustain it. For Masters of the Universe to be considered a hit, it needs to gross between $400 and $500 million. Like I said earlier, that's the break-even point minus the marketing, because that's kind of on the lower end, right? So, another thing I want to mention here with this Rotten Tomatoes thing, Rotten Tomatoes is such a weird thing. Like, factor in. When a movie gets a 72%, that's not Rotten Tomatoes giving it a 72%. That is a review aggregate of all the reviews that comes through, whether it's on the critic side or on the audience side. So based off 2 to 5 stars, 3 to 5 stars, 4 to 5 stars, and enough of that, it gets an aggregate of it, right? So just want to point out, it's not calling it like a C movie with a 70%. That's just based off the general consensus on that website. If that makes sense, right? Variety reported that Masters of the Universe is aiming for a $30 and $35 million debut and could potentially open at number 3 behind fellow new release Scary Movie 6, which is projected to open between 45 and 50 million, and the second weekend of Backrooms, given its $200 million budget. At 35 million, a $35 million opening for Masters of the Universe would be a terrible start, particularly for a movie that needs to gross at least $400 million. It also doesn't help that after its opening weekend, Masters of the Universe will still face stiff competition. The following weekend, Steven Spielberg's Disclosure Day, which has been building positive buzz. I've not really heard any positive buzz about that movie at all, which will be released. Toy Story 5 is set to hit theaters on June 19th and is projected to open between 150 to 175 million, making it both the biggest opening weekend for a Toy Story film and the biggest opening weekend of 2026 so far. Follow that up with Supergirl, Minions and Monsters, and Moana, and Masters of the Universe will need to grab audiences' attentions quickly. Look at that. I totally forgot. The live-action Moana movie remake's coming out too. I don't know if that's going to do as well as the other 2 animated versions of it, but yeah. Masters of the Universe could be saved by a strong worldwide box office. Movies like Pacific Rim and Warcraft underperform at the domestic box office, but grossed over 300 million worldwide. However, it appears Masters of the Universe might not have worldwide appeal, as it opened to a disappointing start in the United Kingdom behind Obsession and Backrooms. A good point of comparison for Masters of the Universe might be 2023's Dungeons and Dragons: Honor Among Thieves. Did you watch? I don't know if you're into D&D at all. I'm not at all. I could care less about D&D.
I am a big D&D
Did you like the live action movie?
Yeah, it was a lot stronger movie than I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be a movie like Masters of the Universe that was just going to be a bunch of just fun, but it actually has a really good story to it. I recommend people to go check it out. Like
Masters of the Universe, it was an action comedy fantasy film produced by Amazon MGM Studios. Honor Among Thieves had a budget of 20 million, less than the low estimates for Masters of the Universe. Despite positive reviews from critics, Honor Among Thieves bombed at the box office, grossing $93 million domestically and $205 million worldwide. This certainly doesn't bode well for Masters of the Universe at the moment, as it is potentially tracking to open even lower than Honor Among Thieves' $37 million debut. However, if the 2026 box office has taught us anything, it's that nothing is predictable. Nobody could have predicted the run at the box office for a movie like Obsession. Even Project Hail Mary seemed doomed to fail at one point before becoming one of the highest grossing films of the year. Maybe Masters of the Universe will manage to stick around at the box office, become a hit with kids, and relaunch the toy line. So another thing to mention here is a movie like Obsession was produced on a budget of $750,000. Horror movies ink out higher profit margins because of how much lower their budgets are. these aren't really that comparable. But a lot of people have said, well, what if it relaunches? Guys, what kids do you know is going to buy He-Man toys? People say, well, merchandise will come. We don't know those numbers. You can't argue numbers you have no basis of knowing, right? People say it could help the streaming numbers. We don't know those. Also, doesn't Netflix do the same thing too? Netflix produces a new movie, and then they say, it's the biggest movie of all time. Next week, it's the biggest movie of all time. Of course, they have to tell you that. They fucking own. When I tell you it's a fucking failure. Masters of the Universe debuted with a soft $29.3 million in North America. It's a slow start for a movie that cost nearly $200 million to produce. Not including the marketing budget, it will require substantial staying power to justify its price tag, considering that movie theater owners get to keep roughly 50% of ticket sales. So yeah, that's even lower than it was supposed to come out. The projected number, 35 to 40, it's 29. That's bad. The updated numbers currently right now is holy mother of shit. God, that's terrible. $36 million domestically, $25 million internationally. So almost roughly about the same. You got $61 million so far. So yeah. We'll see if we get a sequel to this. Keep in mind, this is only it's like week 2. It's been out. It's been on for like 2 weeks. This is probably. It probably earns like 80 million when it's done. That's me being really generous there. A solid $80 million. That would be a certified box office flop. Shit. So, but let's say this. I'm filthy rich. Dingus is filthy rich. We're just going to give money to everyone. But no, what are your final thoughts and opinions on the current Masters of the Universe box office? Do you think what number do you think, even if it does flop, what number do you think it's going to land at when it's going to be out of theaters leaving?
That's a great question. I'm not great with the box office number game. But
Under
what I will
million.
say, what I will say though is I think there is a larger discussion to be had that we were talking a little bit about before this specific recorded segment. That I think the overall movie industry is struggling. You're always going to have certain outliers of movies doing well. You're always going to have your 1 or 2 animated movies that do so well because kids are always going to. You need something to take kids to, right? And that's what Mario has served so far this year. And maybe it'll happen again with Toy Story. Maybe it'll happen again with Minions. I don't know if there's any other big animated movies coming, but other than that and horror, just the horror genre is off in its own world where that seems to always do well, it seems like. It has a very hardcore or dedicated fandom, I should say. Where people always go to watch horror. You're seeing Backrooms, which is based off of this very popular idea, and it doing really well for what it did. And Obsession is a fantastic outlier of a small indie movie blowing up really well, and it's part of that horror landscape that's doing well. But outside of those kind of things, you have you're just seeing the overall industry really struggle. We're having a lot of big movies come out, a lot of big franchises. We're having Star Wars, Masters of the Universe. We're about to have a DC movie that people aren't really talking about. There's all these big franchises coming out that, and sure, they're. I mean, you don't know about Supergirl, but we're having other movies that I listed off that they've had really good audience scores. People are saying they really enjoy them for the most part for people that actually go see them. But then the word of mouth just isn't getting people to go, or people just aren't caring largely for these movies and stuff. And so I don't know. I think just overall right now it's kind of a bit of a bleak time, I think, for the overall landscape of the movie business because of how much it's changed and people don't want to go out, or it's also just very also expensive to go out too. I go to anywhere that's not my local theater, it's very expensive, and I pick and choose what movies I want to see on a bigger screen because I love going out to the movies and stuff. And so it's unfortunate to say that not everybody carries that same mindset as me.
Well, the other thing to bring up when you're bringing that stuff up is it also hurts when you're releasing it into almost 10 movies. That was like throwing this movie. It's like if I chummed the water, I had a bunch of great white sharks, and I was like, you know what? You could survive being in chum water. Dingus, I just kick you in. That's kind of what Amazon and MGM did. They kind of looked at the water, a lot of nice bloody meat there, and just kind of kicked this one in there. They're like, you can survive, right? 5 great white sharks. Doesn't matter if you get eaten alive. Doesn't matter. Just perform very well. And that's another problem too. That would be creatively sabotaging a movie, dropping it in this much competition though. And then going like, it's kind of like one of those self-serving prophecies. Like, let's say they didn't think it was going to make a lot of money. Well, you almost put the nail in the coffin doing that by dropping it in front of 10 movies. They dropped it in front of like 9 other movies people wanted to see before this one. Like, if you had to rank all these movies based off just like interest in watching them, this one would be like probably at the bottom, honestly. But it makes it worse when you're releasing it in this much kind of competition. So yeah, I want you guys to understand most movies are going to be performing like this without really good marketing and dropping them in really crowded times at the movie theaters when you have like 9 other movies coming out. Also, the thing that I'll last say is if the interest really isn't there, then you kind of get to see it play out like this. And maybe there needs to be a different approach with certain properties like Transformers, TMNT, and He-Man moving forward if the box office results are not what you actually want them to be, because no studio is happy losing almost $200 million on this stuff. And if anyone says otherwise, well, your mom probably was having sex with a black guy. That's just what it is. So thank you guys for checking out this video. If you guys are returning viewers or new viewers, then please consider subscribing to the channel if you have not already. Leave a like on this video if you enjoyed it and comment down below. Also, make sure you guys hit the notification bell. That way you guys can get notified on whenever I upload a brand new video or go live. I'm MSK, aka Master Swagging, and we are going to be signing out, guys. See you guys later. Goodbye. Peace. All right. I was going to head out of here. Do you have anything planned coming up you would like to let the audience know about?
Today I dropped a new Dingus questionnaire. Anybody who doesn't know what that is the show, or a series of videos I do on my channel where after I do the main comic creator interview, we also do something called the Dingus questionnaire, where it's a series of 11 questions. It's a good way to get to know comic creators and their personal tastes and things like that. And so today I dropped a new one of those with Sam Quinton, who is the creator of Sonopa Publishing and writer of some pretty good indie comics. I recommend to go check out the interview where we talk about his new comic that's currently live on Kickstarter right now. Let's see here, tomorrow night, I have a new episode of Before the Cape where I will be reviewing season 3, episode 5. And then I have some other videos coming out. I have a review with Warren that we recorded over Road of Bones. I have another Dingus questionnaire recorded that I'm probably going to put out next week. And then I also have 2 comic creator interviews planned for next week too. So stay tuned for all those.
Yep. As you guys know, for me, I was having a lot of issues with my game audio for my streams. Like, it would sound super muffled in certain areas. So whenever you guys see one that's up, it's because the audio doesn't come out muffled. I did buy new gaming PC speakers. So the current speakers that I've been using for a very, very long time, I'm going to put those on my other setup where I was editing videos, have that for that. Then I'm going to open up these new ones and put them in here. And that should fix the game audio issue where I've had to like delete 5 or 6 game streams, that were just even an hour long. Like, I even cut it down to just an hour to see if that would fix everything, but nope, that didn't fix anything at all. So hopefully these new PC gaming speakers will fix that. Also, another episode of the MSK Show will be out tomorrow morning around 9:30 a.m. I'm pretty sure I'll be joined with Professor Savage Dad. We haven't talked in a while in the show. Full Metal Nate was in the hospital recently. The guy that most people see on the channel here, he was in the hospital. So hopefully he's recovering and getting better. So yeah, thank you guys for checking out this episode of the MSK Show. And I hope you guys